Hollywood in the modern day is nothing more than a decrepit cesspool filled with people who hate us and think that they know everything better than everyone else. Just a bunch of people who pretty much just enjoy drinking each other's blood and calling it a day. But then there's people like Henry Cavill, the G's, who actually respect the source material and try their best to satisfy the fans. And I love that.
Henry Cavill is currently in the process of working on Amazon's huge Warhammer cinematic universe to rival the likes of Marvel or Star Wars. And fans were massively excited when they
If done right, this could be amazing. But Games Workshop has actually already ventured multiple times in animation and things like that, and that shit looks like it's 30 years past in the future when it was made, okay? It looks bad in so many cases.
found out about that, because Henry is not just a fantastic actor and person, but has been a Warhammer fan all of his life. So people were excited. At least up until they slowly started to realize that Amazon, which sadly is the company behind the cinematic universe, isn't interested in making it an accurate adaptation at all.
Well, obviously, look at what they did to Lord of the Rings, okay? My god, are they not interested in anything reasonable?
But instead wants to use their power to push for law-breaking changes to Warhammer. And changes that they not only want to see in their cinematic universe, but for changes to the entire Warhammer franchise.
Yep.
Meaning the books, the games, the figures and everything else, including the upcoming movies and shows. And when fans rose up to oppose that, Amazon and their partners in the media started to viciously attack the fans to quiet them down. But
you can already tell that something's gonna instantaneously fail when it's not even out. And yet they're already attacking the fans for being racist, bigoted.
lucky for us, Amazon made the unfortunate mistake of hiring Henry.
Like, look at this. Look at this. Okay, listen. I'm not saying... No, wrong guy. No. Okay.
The producer of their cinematic universe. And as a
Wait, what? Where is our boy? There we go. Look at this.
made the unfortunate
Look, I'm not saying this guy is trying to get rid of his testosterone, but he probably is.
mistake of hiring Henry Cavill as the producer of their cinematic universe. And as a hardcore fan himself, he sided with the fans and started opposing Amazon. Today we are gonna cover why Amazon picked him and why that turned out to be a mistake, how Henry is standing up for fans in interviews and behind the scenes, how he is basically saving Warhammer, and the demands he's making that are going to decide whether the cinematic universe will happen or not. So let's get into it. Amazon picking Henry Cavill to lead their cinematic universe was a massive mistake on their part. But at that point, they didn't know that yet. They thought, let's pick someone who will be helpful in marketing this big planned project of ours.
No. This is completely wrong. First of all, yeah, they did pick him probably also to try and market and say, hey, look at us guys, we're absolutely woke lunatics, degenerates, and losers who want to get rid of families because we have none. And then they thought that they can use Henry Cavill to one, no, yeah, do a little bit of marketing, but two, that they can actually just force him to probably comply with their lunatic ideas. And yeah, Henry Cavill has money, and it doesn't seem like he can be bought off that easily. Time will tell. Time will tell, because everyone has a price. And everyone has a price.
Someone like the MCU's Kevin Feige, or the DCU's James Gunn, or Star Wars' Kathleen Kennedy.
I mean, she takes the crown, okay?
And Amazon wanted someone who's familiar with the Hollywood industry, someone who's talented, someone who's popular among the public, and preferably someone who also knows a thing or two about video games. A lot of requirements that person had to fulfill, and yet there was one guy who fulfilled all of that.
The typical requirements for Hollywood nowadays is, okay, we're remaking Narnia. Do you know what Narnia is? And he answers, no, never read it. And Hollywood is like, good, perfect, you're in. And don't read any of it. We're gonna completely remake it because we know exactly what we need to do to make everything better than the source material. You know, the source material that has millions upon millions upon millions of fans? we know better what to do with it than these pitiful fans, because we're Hollywood, baby. Ha ha ha. Insert Rachel Zegler saying it's Hollywood, baby.
Henry Cavill. And he knows not just a thing or two about video games, but he's actually a big gamer. And I should also emphasize the fact that he's a PC gamer, cause he for some reason always does that.
PlayStation or Xbox?
PC,
My
smart.
introduction to the character first came through the games. I'm a big PC gamer, and I've been gaming since I was a young boy.
I mean, I play PC games,
Okay.
rather than console games.
Okay.
But Total
Xbox literally in shambles.
War's a big one for me.
Okay.
It's like a strategic world conquest type thing. You know,
Okay.
as one does.
So are you out there like where somebody's just
No. Listen, this guy has no idea what does that mean. Conquer the world as one does? What do you mean? I want to go home, drink my soy latte, and suck a dick. That's what these people are typically like. You know, men and women alike. It is what it is, and it's sad.
gaming against you? They have no idea that they possibly are in a virtual world.
The Rich Eisner Show. Let me Google that. Rich Eisner. Is he gay? Personal life. Eisner is Jewish in 2003. Eisner married Susie Shutter. Aha. Okay, maybe he's not. I mean, give it time. He's in Hollywood, baby. Just give it time.
World with Henry Cavill? Is
World
that
of
possible?
Warcraft? Yeah, but that's the only online game I play for now.
Okay.
That and Overwatch.
Absolutely, yeah. I was playing a game called World of Warcraft. And,
I've heard of all of them.
Yeah. And I missed the call from Zack Snyder to tell me I got Superman.
But, like, did you hear the phone ringing?
I did.
And you chose to ignore it?
Absolutely.
He was probably not even in the raid.
Luckily, he still got the part of Superman. But man, I wanna know what he was doing there in World of Warcraft that he valued it more important than taking the call of Zack Snyder. Must
Farming a copper and durtar.
have been one hell of a raid he was on. But what else do you expect from a guy who spends at least 4 hours a day playing video games? You know, I wondered how a celebrity like him manages to pull that off with everything else he got going on. But then I remembered that he rather
Well, to be fair, celebrities actually don't have a lot to do. That's why they're always in public, because they don't have a lot to do.
spends his time at home playing video games on his own rather than going out with other people. So that does explain certain
Smart,
things.
same.
Now I don't know about you, but that sounds like exactly the type of guy that I would want leading a cinematic universe based on video games. Someone who not only plays a lot of them and enjoys them, but loves to talk about that publicly as well. Which he did. And that was before he had any idea that Amazon was hiring. It's been something he kept proudly presenting on every occasion. Whether it's in interviews for the Netflix Witcher show, when he's asked about it, or sometimes it's even him bringing up the topic completely randomly. Probably hoping the interviewers give him the opportunity to talk more about this hobby of his, cause it's one he's very passionate about.
I'm a big gamer. I've played the games a lot, many hours put into those, and Warcraft, but we're not talking about that today. I was very passionate about the games. I did play them a lot, and every time I played...
Are these people from The Witcher? I guess. I didn't watch The Witcher, but he was the only thing that kept The Witcher alive. And, you know, the moment he was gone, it's like, okay, this is already complete shit.
the games, I just thought, I really hope they make this into a movie or a TV show or something.
And I've been a PC gamer since I was a boy as well. My dad That's the stuff. And yeah, so I've been playing role-playing games in the fantasy genre for years and years and years. So this was just a final upgrade.
I'm a big gamer. I played the games and I read the books, and I loved both of them. The games are, especially Witcher 3, super immersive. And I don't know if anyone here is a gamer or anything, if everyone's played the games, but super immersive. And when I was playing it, I always thought it'd make a great movie or TV show. And I've been a big PC gamer my entire life, big fantasy genre
Done right, everything is good.
reader. And to play a role like this was very much a dream come true.
I'm a big PC gamer as well.
And so I spent a lot of my time playing role-playing games.
Okay, to be honest, I think we kind of get the point. The guy's a PC gamer, okay?
I'm a big gamer. No, he would probably
To a pro gamer to clarify.
much of a gamer.
I love the fact that he clarified that he's a massive gamer to the average person, but not really that much of a gamer compared to a pro gamer. So saying that he knows a thing or two about video games would be a big understatement. So in that sense, it wasn't surprising that Amazon had their eyes on him. He's familiar with the Hollywood industry, he's very talented.
It is surprising that Amazon has their eyes on him. Again, I think they can subvert him.
He's popular among the public, someone who, unlike Amazon executives, has a lot of experience in the area of gaming, and unlike Amazon executives, is actually a fan of Warhammer. As I'll show later, they don't know nor care about Warhammer itself, and only about what they can use that brand for, without thinking about the fans. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill is someone who is actually a fan, and has been one ever since he was 10 years old, who talked about how it's his favorite game franchise, how he collects and paints the figures, reads the books, plays the games, etc. Also something he talked about multiple times over the years, before any of those talks about a cinematic adaptation even came up.
Geekiest thing would have to be my Warhammer stuff.
We're talking
Hands down.
Games Workshop, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah. It's that took me a while to kind of confess to openly and publicly. There are a lot of characters from the Warhammerverse, the universe that I want to be, but I can only really be one. Because once I'm one, then I can't be others. If it were to ever happen, if there were to be anything live action, I would have to be very aware of that. It is obviously character rich, especially the 40k universe. I suppose I could play a different character from the Warhammer Fantasy universe versus the 40k universe, but again, I'm now just dreaming. So I'd have to speak to the guys at Games Workshop and see what happens.
5 years, you'd make a very good Gregor Ryzen, is what I think.
That would be exciting, yes, but then I burn Primarchs and the Captain General, so I don't really know.
He literally dreamed of one day being able to be a part of a live-action Warhammer project. And now, fast forward a few years, and he's in charge of not just one project, but an entire Warhammer cinematic universe. He's going to be a lead actor, in a role that's unknown as of yet. And on top of that, the producer on all of those projects. Meaning that he has to sign off
He's probably gonna be a blue smurf. That's where my money's at.
on every decision that's gonna be made on those shows and movies. And him being a lifelong hardcore fan, this is an extremely important undertaking for him, because he wants to please the fans and make that universe as great as possible, which is by making it as accurate as possible, something that is absolutely key to him.
One other thing, I know it's early days, but Warhammer, I mean, there's nothing more close to your heart than this. I know this.
That is true.
There are a few other things.
Well, yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
how...
Professionally speaking.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a heart outside of work.
He does. But it must be so exciting to be able to actually like dive into this world and be the one of the ones that is just steering the ship and figuring out what the world you want to create is on film and TV. What's this experience been like so far?
It is the greatest privilege of my professional career to have this opportunity. I can't say too much again. It's early days still.
Look at that. They ask a man, how does it feel to do something like this? And he doesn't instantaneously go off and call someone a bigot, a racist. How the source material is crap and it needs to be adapted for modern audiences? That's crazy. Who would have expected something like this?
But to have this opportunity to bring it to the screen and be at the tiller so it can be faithful is key to me. And this is the stuff I've been dealing with since I was a kid. Yeah. This is sort of is the stuff I spend my free time daydreaming about as an adult as well. And I get to bring it into life. And there is no greater reason than I joined the industry than doing something like this. And I'm very happy to be here.
This is clearly the honor of a lifetime for him. Just sadly, that's not the case for Amazon, because they couldn't care less about things like accuracy to the source material. As insiders reported, the reason why Games Workshop introduced female custodies was due to pressure of Amazon, who wanted them for their show with Henry Cavill. But Henry Cavill apparently
Who knows about that? They say this, but I have not seen any proof that Amazon pushed it on Games Workshop, okay? Would Amazon want that? Obviously, they're a bunch of losers, okay? Jesus. But at the same time, Games Workshop, you know, still.
Was left in the dark about the fact that Amazon was pushing for female custodies and female space marines. And once he found out, he was extremely unhappy about that. Not just the fact that they went behind his back and pushed Games Workshop to retcon the lore to introduce female custodies, despite them having never existed, but also the fact that they retconned the lore made him extremely mad. Not only are the Custodies Henry's favorite faction, but he's someone who, as he stated, respects the lore and takes faithfulness extremely seriously. So of course he wouldn't react.
That's how you do it again. You start switching up the lore, okay? You switch one minor thing up. Let's say you're not even switching up lore just to be, you know, a modern day Hollywood freak, right? Let's just say you want to do some change to, I don't know, for whatever reason. You do one change, you do another change, you do a third small change. These are all small changes. But as time progresses, because you have done already these small changes, further things around, down the pipeline don't add up and they don't work anymore because you changed these small details. And they were small. Probably people didn't honestly even notice them. But now because you changed that, now other actions made in the future no longer make sense. And now you are forced to change big things because otherwise they're just nonsense and then don't make sense.
Kindly to such lore retcons. Maybe that was the reason why Amazon went behind his back, because they expected him as a fan to oppose that decision. But that doesn't change the fact that that's still a dick move on their part. And they were right, the fanbase did indeed oppose that lore retcon. And they started a boycott so massive that the chief financial officer of Games Workshop sold 2/3 of her shares in the company when the boycott began. So what did those executives do as a response to the boycott? Instead of reversing their decision, they began to run the all too famous strategy of attacking the fanbase. They began to call anyone who opposed their decision a sexist or a bigot. Games Workshop even began to...
But this has not been rectified, right? This is still now official. Oh yeah, of course female custodies exist.
Block users on social media. Not just those that opposed and attacked the lore retcon, but even anyone who just questioned the existence of female custodies in the context of the lore. You could say Games Workshop was just pressured by Amazon to do so, but that still doesn't justify their anti-fan behavior. The fans are what made this franchise as big as it is. It's the fans that can make or break it, and that are going to decide whether it succeeds or not. And the same goes for Amazon's projects. But that's apparently something they don't realize, the way they cause lore retcons and attack the fans for simply noticing. Yet someone who they also angered is Henry Cavill, who's in charge of their cinematic universe and can still make or break it. And he has always been someone who was on the fans' side. And even in situations where the interviewers try to paint the fans in a negative light, and where any other person would just simply agree and throw the fans under the bus, Henry Cavill didn't do that, but instead stood up for fans.
There's something really interesting with this character that I find fascinating, which is that he genuinely really does just want to do the right thing. But everywhere he goes, whether it's a new town or...
Yeah, I'm from Hollywood. I find it really fascinating that a character is not purely selfish, motivated by greed, and doesn't hate everyone surrounding him by default. I find that satisfying. Do you honestly need to even hear more about this? I think that's a perfect summarization of what this is. Wow, selfishness, a stride to become greater than you are, wanting to do good in life. Whoa, that's insane. Who would ever do that? God, I hate Hollywood so much, it's insane. Well, I wonder what they're gonna do with this, but yeah. Hope for the best. Anyway, Miriam, bye.